Our thoughts and feelings are our own and are not representative of Electronic Arts as a whole or anyone else.
Once again, it's time for the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brandon Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Let's go ahead and get right into the show. All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Coach, in the studio, laying down these smooth vocals for you young ladies that are listening to the podcast. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff your stockings with a little Christmas cheer with some R. Kelly. What? You don't like that?
I don't know, man. I'm not female.
I don't think they want pee in their stockings. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah. I'm the other R. Kelly. They're going to have chocolate in the stockings, but it won't be pee or poo. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Man. I'm clipping this, and I'm going to just send it to people's moms. I'm just going to send my smooth, silky vocals to people's mom for Christmas and just say, you know what you got for Christmas? Some chocolate cheer. All right, girl. That's what I'm giving out. So this is a weird intro for our show, but it's a good one. Now, here's the thing. We're doing a show that's going to cover two movies that have been out for a while.
2 weeks.
A little bit long.
2-3 weeks.
17th.
17th.
And then the other one was in October.
Yeah, okay. It's been a lot longer. Never mind.
A while.
Yeah, they've been out for a while. Well, wait a minute. I thought they both know. One came out November 2nd. Remember, it was right at the 1st of November because you were getting married, and that's why we couldn't go watch it.
Yeah. Well, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so we were they were both November films, but we waited almost 6 weeks to do the show.
I was thinking about fucking Wolfenstein getting released on the 23rd. That's what I was thinking about.
Yes, you were. Yeah, you are. Okay, so here's what it is. We're going to talk about two films. Most people have kind of cornered us on these two films by ourselves and asked us questions. We're going to discuss Thor, and we're going to discuss Justice League. And I'm gonna give my overall opinion on them. We'll start with Thor first, because I think all three of us has watched Thor, right?
Yeah.
And you did not see Justice League.
I did not. I actually planned to this last weekend, and then I didn't because I don't know why I didn't. We're just
Christmas party?
I mean,
it was a Christmas party, and then Sunday I was recovering, but I was still off Monday.
Yeah, you had time.
I had time, but
all you really got to do to watch Justice League is just imagine one of the Justice League like animated movies, and then just replace Superman with Henry Cavill, and then replace his upper lip with CGI, and then you have the whole film.
I heard about that.
That film was better than that. Film was much better than that. Don't listen to this. Go see the film.
No, I liked it.
Yeah,
so,
it was really okay. But let's get into Thor because we've all seen Thor. Now, overall, Thor. This is the third Thor film. Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is the first Thor film.
You really think it's the first?
Because it's the first time Thor has actually been a fucking character in his own movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one was a good introduction to Thor. The second one was mediocre at best. This one actually feels like Thor became a person and not just an archetype from the comics. Like, he has personality in this.
Yes.
He has a character arc. He changes from the first part of the movie to the end of the movie. He did that in a little bit in the first film, but it wasn't as well done as it is in this.
No, in this one, I'm gonna be honest. To me, there is a level to what I call the Marvel's cinematic universe outer space films. Their intergalactic films have a certain quality to them that Thor has always kind of lacked. Thor was always like a really not that great, Shakespearean drama piece. Is what they always tried to do with it. And this time, they've injected humor into it. It was funny. It played a lot like a Guardians of the Galaxy film.
I think it felt a lot like that because of how much that movie was ad-libbed. Like, a lot of
they had a script, and there are specific points in the movie where they stuck to that script, like laser focused on it. But yeah, there's a lot of ad-libbing in it, and it's just great.
Yeah.
Like it gives, because fucking Chris Hemsworth is hilarious by all accounts, and just letting him not be the way the Thor was. Like you said, Shakespearean before. It's funny you mentioned that. Kenneth Branagh, the guy who directed the first Thor film, the first film of his I ever saw was him starring and directing in Hamlet. And it's the best production of Hamlet I've ever seen. It's from like 1996.
Oh, I'm familiar with it. But he did A Midsummer Night's Dream too.
Yeah,
he did
that
bunch of those.
He did Othello too.
Yeah, he did a bunch of those films. And Kenneth Branagh is just like, he's such a, I don't think he's as respected in the U.S. film market because he always does art house films.
Well, the problem is that he did, all of those Shakespearean films, and then he did fucking Wild Wild West. And then after that, his career was basically over in the United States. Mm-hmm. And now he's just purely directing. He's not acting, it doesn't look like anymore. And I'm guessing that they were able to get him to come in and do the first Thor film because of the style of the way that Thor speaks in the comics. They thought that he would lend that vision to that film. And plus, he's got to work for cheap because, he's not a blockbuster director. And that's what Marvel does, is they find directors who've had moderate success and can be pushed into the mold that they want them to be pushed into for the film that they're going to make, and will do what they say, and then they make a successful Marvel film out of them.
It has worked.
And it's worked over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's like I've rarely seen it not work, So, second Thor film withstanding, that was just not that great. But yeah. Even then, it's still as bad of a film it was still better than some films that I've seen.
See, much of
as bad
DCU.
as bad as Thor 2 was, it was still better than. My brain stopped.
Are you gonna say Batman versus Superman?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just gonna be salty as hell right there.
Well, I mean, I could have been, but that's not the one I was going for.
Okay.
I was going for the other one.
Which one? Man of Steel?
No.
Oh.
The other one.
The other one?
The other one? The other one?
The other one.
Is it another one?
With everybody in it. There's somebody out there right now listening to this screaming at all of us, and it's hilarious.
The one with everybody in it?
Yeah, with Harley Quinn and
Suicide
Squad. I couldn't think of the fucking name. I don't know why. It just escaped me.
Yeah, I was like, you can't be saying that. I thought Suicide Squad was a better film, didn't?
Suicide. So, like, if you look at it, like, Suicide Squad is decent, but Thor 2 is better than Suicide Squad because it actually had an intelligible plot and characters that you at least gave somewhat of a shit about. Beyond just, oh, look, they're on the screen for the first time.
You got a point.
It's kind of hard to argue with him sometimes about this. There is a thing that happens. Like, I do notice this. Like, I have a friend, all right?
Just one?
And, well, yeah, just one, because I'm trying to limit them in 2018. So there's one. We talk about him all the time on the show, Joe Nathan. We hadn't said his name in a long time. Joe Nathan is what I think he kind of is typical DC fanboy. Like, him and his whole crew up there in Amarillo, they're typical DC fanboys. So what that means is that there are no bad DC films to them, but they think all DC films are the greatest, and they don't care what the critics say. And then they're upset when people actually pick the films apart and go, this is why your favorite film was a piece of poop.
I bet that we would agree on Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze, though. That was one of my favorite DC films.
Really?
Yeah, just because it was hilarious to me. I don't know.
I think
I didn't watch it because I was like, oh, hell yeah, Batman and Robin and Mr. Freeze.
Yeah,
I was like, haha, this is funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people enjoyed it for that. It was funny.
I like a lot of those 90s Batman movies, 90s and early 2000s.
I watched them, man, and I'm never going to knock them. I mean,
Blade
that
and
first
Spawn
one,
era of cinematography.
come on, man. Those were great films for what they were. You know, we were just so happy to get those films, but then the older we get, and then our taste improve, and special effects improve, and then we're at that point where it's like, you're not bringing this crap to me.
Bro, I don't even want to hear people bitch about special effects, because like I just mentioned Spawn, that shit had good special effects. Well, except for the whole flaming demon part, but otherwise.
That cape was amazing.
Like Homeboy turning into a column on the fucking wall and shit. That looked real in that movie that was made like 20 years ago.
And it did terrible in the box office. You You know, I wonder how it would do if they release Spawn right now.
Aren't they bringing Spawn back?
Actually, they are. They're doing Spawn again.
A new movie?
Yeah.
Ooh.
They are. What's his name? McFarlane is. I think McFarlane is actually going to get to direct and write the script.
I don't know if I should be afraid.
Yeah, I'm okay with that because I know he'll make a dark masterpiece.
Yeah.
I would live with that. But let's see. This is what happens. Our ADD kicked in right there. Okay, let's bring it back to Thor. So we're on Thor. We see some things that happen in Thor. Let's talk about what I like.
What you like?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, his cameo was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was like one of the funniest parts to me.
Great cameo. I think they used that character perfectly because if you watch Doctor Strange and you went to the after credit scene is him meeting with, Chris Hemsworth's Thor. And you kind of knew that he was looking for his dad. And I loved how in Thor, we get that scene. We get the full scene of what happened at that meeting. And then even with Loki, talk about a character that was a one-trick pony for the most part, that you had mixed feelings about this character. For some women, I know some of our female listeners that have written me and told me this, and we've spoken about it. Tom Middleton could be Satan in a film, and women would still be like, oh my God, Satan is so hot.
Goddamn skinny fuck.
Yeah, man. They just love that dude. So he could do a film where he plays the Grand Dragon in the clan and sets crosses on fire. And I know some women that would still be like, he's fine when he set that cross on fire and the oil was like on his chest and he's just shining in the flames and the light of the flames. And I'd be like, you're romanticizing the KKK. And they'd be like, no, I'm romanticizing Tom Middleton in the KKK. And I'd be like, that's the same damn thing. but they would. They just love that guy. He could be any character he wants to be, and they love him.
I think his portion of the Doctor Strange scene kind of was the funniest part.
Oh, man.
I've been falling for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. He was so upset. And it was so good, too. I like where he got mad, act like he was really going to try to come at Doctor Strange, and he just punked him out like, right there. Get you some of this. I love that whole thing. Other thing, Hela. Wow.
I was watching something the other day. I think it was like yesterday or the day before last. They were talking about how Hela is not the Hela from the comics. I mean, she is, but she isn't. Like in the way that she looks and the way that she acts, she's Hela from the comics. But her character is actually an amalgamation of a few different characters. Mm-hmm. And the whole, like, her throwing all the blades, like, that's another character. The fact that she's the secret daughter of Odin, that's another character. Like, they kind of did this whole, like, mixing pot with her.
They did. But the weird thing about that was that I actually kind of liked that story.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, I'm at the point now where I think I used to be real picky about, hey, you didn't follow the comic book exactly, and nothing does anymore. So I'm kind of over that bitch fest. If you improve a character's story, I don't mind.
So I think that they're doing that with a lot of the Marvel comic cinematic universe. I hate MCU.
The MCU. So if you want to think about it this way, like the comics are Earth 616. And we know that Marvel Comics is a multiverse, just like on the DC side of things, there's a DC multiverse. There are very different versions of all these characters and all these different Earths. The Marvel cinematic universe could very well be Earth 617 or Earth 999 or, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
They just haven't given it an Earth number designation yet. And so
they just call it the MCU to just make it easy on everybody because it does change it up a little bit. It's changed a lot of people's stories.
Speaking of changing stories, just an aside, it looks like next week Marvel and Disney are going to own everything that Fox bought from them.
It is
X-Men,
looking really, really good
Fantastic
right now.
Four, all of it.
My God, so we might get a good Fantastic Four movie?
Not only that, you may actually get an X-Men versus the Avengers movie.
Ooh.
What if we get a cosmic Fantastic Four film where the Fantastic Four show up with fucking Galactus in tow after them?
I'm not upset.
Like, we don't start their trilogy where they like get their powers and they're on Earth. We started like they're in fucking space on a ship, and we introduced them at the end of a Guardians of the Galaxy film, and Galactus is like chasing them down for some reason, and they go back to Earth, and then Galactus shows up on Earth. Also, X-Men gonna be back.
Yeah, no,
We're actually gonna get real X-Men.
Does that mean Disney owns like The Gifted and all those weird shows that they keep on spawning?
It seems like what's gonna happen is Disney is going to buy out Fox Studios. So they're just gonna buy, instead of trying to buy the properties back, they're just gonna buy Rupert Murdoch
the entire
out of
movie studio.
all of their movie studios, their television.
Pull an EA on Fox.
This is one time where I applaud somebody following that business practice. And they can microtransaction me with action figures, and I'm going to buy them.
They've been doing that for years anyway, so it's fine.
I'm all in, bro. No, I'm serious.
And Marvel, I think Marvel has always owned the toy lines. They can do whatever they want to with the toys.
Yeah.
But the thing that kills me about this is that we had just talked about this last time we met, which is what's so beautiful about this. Last time we were in this room, we talked about where they were kind of doing this whole thing and where, it was talk of them buying it.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday.
It seems like it's concrete, or at least that it's looking like
it's almost to the point where we're about to have signatures on contracts, and they're going to own that studio.
Yeah.
And all those films.
It's going to be amazing.
How about this? I'm not against us having a party for this. If they ink this contract, we call in and we get drunk and go watch all the movies in a row.
That's a lot. That's like
17 films at this point.
I'm saying that's like a good.
So we call in for 2 days.
Weekend.
Yeah, we call in for 2 days and we watch them all in a row.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be in January if we're gonna do that.
Yeah, and also we're gonna have to have I'm gonna have an EMT on standby because there could be alcohol poisoning involved with this.
Just piss a lot and drink water every other drink.
Look, my daddy didn't raise no quitters.
You ain't quitting. You're just delaying your death.
I'm just delaying the death. You're
The
just
liver
diluting
is
your
evil.
poison.
Exactly.
No, I'm down for this. No, I'm happy for this whole idea. Other thing I liked about this movie, let's get into it. This version of the Hulk was freaking amazing. Mark Ruffalo has taken over this role for me.
I think the only way that they could do it any better would be if they did Grey Hulk.
Oh, wow.
Because he was like almost on a Grey Hulk level. Like if he was just smarter.
Yeah.
That's the only real other thing that they could do with it. But they got his character down in this.
Yeah, I felt like I was actually watching a Hulk film sometimes in the movies too. It was like, hey, look, Hulk's a character. He doesn't just smash.
I do not need to see that much of Hulk, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Bro, let me tell you this much, man. When that whole exchange happened, I lost my collective shit. It was just like, so I take it Hulk does have a ding ding, and it's quite impressive. It's also a Hulk. It's a Hulkling. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. I thought the whole comic timing to that was amazing. I was just
trying to fucking get him to do the calm down routine in every fucking scene.
Oh, God. Yeah, dude. Here's the sad part. You knew what he was doing. This is how much those films have indoctrinated us. We knew he's saying Black Widow's words to the Hulk, trying to get him to calm down. So that was something that all the Avengers had to know, that routine. And I just thought, man, here's what I'm loving about it.
I don't think he even knew the routine. I just think he was trying to do it because he was like, fuck, what did she say?
Yeah.
I think it's this. I'm just going to say it over and over and over again, and hopefully it works.
Yeah, it was so cool, though, man. I love that whole thing. And we all knew exactly what he was doing. And I like how they're doing these callbacks to all the other previous films. Yeah. Like before, you used to be able to say, well, you don't necessarily have to watch the other film before you watch this one. This one, there were a lot of inside jokes that you weren't going to catch unless you had seen a couple of the previous films. Hemdall, why was he on the run? You needed to know.
Does anybody give a shit that the entire Warriors 3 is dead? Other than, what's her name?
Sif.
Other than Sif, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
They're all fucking dead.
Yeah, dude.
She murdered the shit out of all of them.
I did not think about that. Now that you mention it, went right over my head that she murdered every single Warriors 3.
Yeah. The only one that she didn't murder was
Sif was not
Sif.
there.
And where was Sif?
That's a damn good
Because
question.
like she appeared in the first season of Agents of Shield,
She was in the first movie.
and she was in the first movie.
Was she in the second film?
She was briefly, and then she was just gone.
Where is Sif at?
I don't know.
She's plotting. Dun dun dun.
Thor 4.
With a twist.
Okay, there we go. There's the plot for Thor 4. Yeah, I kind of want to know where she's at. I really do.
We're gonna do like the search for Spock, but it's the search for Sif.
We need it. We need to bring Sif back.
You know,
I just wanna know
that
where
could
she's
be
at.
the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie is them trying to find Sif and getting into trouble.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Hashtag.
I mean,
bring back
realistically, if we just want to know where Sif was, we could just ask fucking Heimdall. Speaking of which, Heimdall is the fucking man and has always been.
And will always be. Can we just admit he kind of is a badass and we finally got to see him in action in this film? Well, we saw him a little bit in action in The Dark World, but not like this.
Yeah.
Like in this, he kicked ass. He was really a beast in this film.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they did so many things right. Here's the thing. When you want to see a hero film, you want spectacle, you want humor, you want action, you want big budget excitement. You want to be able to sit down with a film, a popcorn and a Coke, and be entertained. This film did that on every freaking level. Yeah. I had a hard time trying to find something that I didn't like about the film. And that's really weird for me. I have a hard time finding, like, even now, I try not to be a critic, but let's face it, we watch a lot of freaking movies. We talk about a lot of freaking shows. We technically, because we're rating things, we're always kind of somewhat...
It's in the back
critical.
of your mind when you're watching shit.
Yeah, you
Like,
think about things.
There are problems with this movie, but none of the problems cause a problem.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's an issue where like it's a little bit disjointed because it just feels like hell is just walking shit all over fucking Asgard, and Thor's just off having a fun adventure over here.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of knew he's been sold into like his little slavery thing, and then you kind of trying to figure out what's going on. I'm going to tell you one thing that looked amazing. The Valkyries, when they battled,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hell, that whole
sequence.
thing on a big screen was something you have to see this on a big screen.
Yeah.
That is not going to have the same effect on your TV at home.
Yeah. Unless you got like a fucking 85-inch television or something.
Well, we got a 65-inch Samsung 4K.
Yeah.
So I am going to test this theory when it comes out. I'm going to let you guys know. But I'm just saying, right now, that is a big screen moment. You ever see a movie and you go, this should be experienced
Yeah.
on a big screen in the dark with other strangers?
It was super sad too. All the Valkyries dying.
Oh, my
Sad,
gosh, dude.
sad panda moment.
Dude, it was so good, though, man. Such an amazing film.
Yeah,
I was a
but-
little hurt with Odin.
Well, that's the thing is like all of those Valkyries had to die, and she had to be the only one left because that explains why her character's the way she is.
Yeah.
Like if there were other Valkyries that had survived that, and she wasn't the only one, you'd be like, okay. I mean, you're just an asshole and a drunk.
Why you gotta be so rebellious?
You know.
You got friends still?
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn.
But yeah, man, it was
Jeff
such a good-
Goldblum just needs to show up in more Marvel films and be Jeff Goldblum.
This
God
is
damn it.
very true. I enjoyed his character.
That was
way
not a
too
character.
much.
No, there was no character.
Well, his
that was just
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum just showed up for this film.
They said, this is Jeff Goldblum dressed as a character from the comic book, but it's basically Jeff Goldblum. And I loved him as that dude. I mean, it was so awesome. Now, his assistant, the mean-faced hag, I loved her.
Did you watch Hunt for the Wilder People?
I did not. I
Taika
have that on my
Waititi's-
films, though.
So Taika Waititi's previous film to this was Hunt for the Wilder People, and that lady, his second in command, is the cop from that movie. And
you
she's
serious?
hilarious in that movie.
Oh, my God. I got to go. I have it on my thing queued up to watch it. I'm going to go watch
Yeah, you
it.
should
when I
watch it.
Oh, man, because, dude, I'm telling you, when I saw her in there, and I was just like, this chick, I love this woman. And then all of a sudden, she just started helping him disintegrate everybody, and I was like, and I love her here. She is crazy. Yeah, it was really hard for me to find stuff that I hated about this film. Overall, it gave me a great story. It extended the whole intergalactic universe.
Also, Sif's minion, or not Sif, god damn it. Hela's
stuck on it.
minions,
Yeah.
those were the worst special effect in the whole film. Did you see them? Did you ever like
undead soldiers?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of shots where they're just practical effects. It's just guys in costumes standing around in the background, and it looks like a bunch of guys in fucking Halloween costumes standing in the background. until they finally realize that those things look shitty, and they start making them just a little out of focus so that you don't notice. Yeah, that was my only complaint about literally anything special effects wise in the film. It's just those guys.
I like the giant wolfie.
The giant wolf.
Giant
Fenris.
wolf. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was pretty fun. He didn't get enough screen time, I don't think. I want to see more wolf.
I think the only reason why they introduced Fenris was to give Hulk something to do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, when Hulk jumped up there and started fucking with her and got blasted, that was hilarious.
Dude, whenever he fell down trying to turn into the Hulk, it just splats. That was painful to watch and also hilarious as hell. Like I cringed because it was like, oh my god, that's what a person looks like when they hit the ground.
Well, I think they did it like that for comic effect, but you could also argue that the reason why they did it that way is because he's literally been the Hulk for like 3 years. He probably doesn't really have much anger left.
Man, but I don't know. I still love that whole thing. You know what I did like too? This is weird. Okay. My brother and I talked about this, and I liked it, but then after he said it, I kind of felt sad about it. The whole thing where he loses his eye.
Oh,
he thought that, he said that was way too permanent. He said, a scar on the face, I could have lived with.
Nah.
He said for him to lose his freaking eye, and now he's kind of like Odin. He said that was a little too drastic for me and a little too permanent.
Okay, well, how about in the comics when he becomes Rune King Thor and goes to the well, the same well that they took Odin's eye out, and he needs knowledge, so he literally takes both of his eyes out.
Yeah, now that's way down the line in the comic. So.
I think that's where they're going. They're going to have to they have to pull out. This is the conversation that we had literally over a year ago. Is like, who the fuck are we going to get that's going to be powerful enough to take on Thanos? And the only thing that I could come up with at the time was Blue Marvel. But what if it's Rune King Thor? He's lost his hammer. They're rebuilding Asgard on Earth, I would assume, in this next film. And he's already lost one of the eyes. If he manages to get away from Thanos somehow before they get to Earth, he could go to the well and get all of the knowledge and then find out where the axe is and go get it and become Rune King Thor and just fuck up Thanos.
He could. But that's one of the things, too, that there's... I mean, we're going to have the question answered in less than a year.
No, we won't, because we're going to see the first half. We're not going to see the second half.
Oh, yeah, but we're going to have some questions answered.
On us?
Yeah, it's a two-parter. So you're going to get one at, I want to say, May
4th.
2018.
Yeah, May 4th, so like in a few months.
And then you get the next one in May of 2019.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, so
unless they have both of them finished and they just want to release them in the same year just to be like,
nah, we're not that lucky.
Eating these turds, DC.
Yeah, I don't think we're that lucky. I think originally it was supposed to be a year apart. You get one in 18 and one in 19.
Bruh,
because the one in 19 reboots. That's the swan song for the first 25 films.
Yeah.
And then there'll be the cinematic universe is going to change. Well, now the bets are on, well, what are you changing to?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Are we going to become the new Marvel now? Are we going to see Riri Williams? Like, here's my question.
I'm pretty sure that fucking Tony Stark died when fucking Thanos punched him.
Bro, when you see him get punched in that trailer, I'm like, he knocked the Jarvis out of that nigga. I'm sorry, dog.
No, that happened in Ultron. He knocked the Friday out of him.
I was like, this is the craziness. He popped him in the next week. He hit him so hard, he's already in the next film. Okay. And that's what I was like, dang, dude. Because here's the thing. If
he hit him so
Tony,
hard, he broke fucking Roddy Downer Jr.'s fucking contract. That's Robert Downey Jr. God damn it.
Yeah. But here's that. But remember, we were talking about somebody's going to die. We've been saying this for a while. Somebody's dying in Infinity War.
Cap is dying.
what if it's not Cap that dies because Cap's on the run and they kill Iron
Cap's
Man?
position gets taken over anyway by Falcon, right?
The reason why Cap is dying is he signed up to be able to do these 2 films because his contract technically already should have ended, but because and he was going to exit, but he decided that he wanted to do the next 2 films just so that they could finish out his story arc properly. So he's only signed up through the end of Infinity War, and then that's it. So Cap is dying. Cap is dying in this film. It's happening. It's either he dies in the first one or he dies in the second one.
And then
but
we get
he's
Black
fucking
Cap.
dead.
Yeah, but here's what: are we really going to get
Shut up.
the Black Captain America, or are we going to get Bucky, Winter Soldier Captain America?
God damn it.
I don't think we're gonna get Bucky Cap.
Because both of those guys have worn the Captain America.
Yeah, I think we're more likely what could happen is Thanos could separate him from the serum,
Mm.
and then because that's what happens in the comics is he gets separated. Something happens and the serum gets removed from him, and he turns into a 90-year-old man.
Yeah, there was old Cap running around like there was old Logan running around.
Yeah, and then that serum winds up making its way into Falcon, and then Falcon becomes Captain America.
He would have the reality, Jim. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of stuff to see. Here's the thing. Now we're starting to get almost too comic booky because at this point we're really looking at where do they go with this. Now here's the thing.
That's what's gonna kill me if it's a 2-parter. I don't like cliffhangers.
You know,
you're getting a cliffhanger out of this
year-long
one.
cliffhangers. Goddamn.
The cliffhanger is going to be literally everybody is going to be in a heap, and Thanos is just going to be standing next to them like fucking next. And that's going to be the end of the first film.
And
We got 2 more hours of this, boys.
and
just
the
gonna
only
be
thing that's
him.
going to happen.
Punching Tony Stark in the face over and over again.
Little do we know, the trailer was the end of the last movie or the first movie.
You know what it could be is Cat. He might have not have even been in that suit though, because he has the ability to remote control them. So I'm gonna bet that he wouldn't want to be in a suit near Thanos. That he would just be sending suits after Thanos. So that one that got punched and died is essentially just that suit's out of the game.
Could be that. It might
Could
be
be.
that. It probably is that.
It could be, but I don't trust it. Here's my thing. You know, I
just
broke
don't-
down.
I just don't think they would kill a guy like, boom, you got punched, you did.
Bro,
That's what Thanos does. He snaps his fingers and half the life in the universe dies.
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be good.
This is the
There's going to be a
MCU.
lot of death in this one.
And if this contract is inked in the next week and we're bringing in the X-Men, that means they can bring in Lady Death and we can get backstory on him trying to impress Lady Death. And we also get a good Deadpool in the mix as well. And they can start spinning that whole thing out.
That would be a good Deadpool 3 or Deadpool.
Yeah, it would be the third Deadpool
Yeah,
because the
probably be-
second one's in the can. We got it.
Yeah.
So Korg
Want to talk about it and how amazing he was?
Korg was amazing.
Like Korg was the freaking humor of the whole thing.
I stepped on him. I've been carrying him around all day.
He's still alive. It's like you did not expect to laugh as much as you did. Like, did you expect it to be that funny? Because, like, I know when I go see Guardians, I'm getting humor and great action. I did not expect that of Thor. Like, I kind of saw the 80s trailer when it was coming out. I went, they're going to Guardians this film.
That's
up.
what I thought when I saw the 80s-esque stuff, like all the freaking chrome neon shit. I was like, this is going to be kind of Guardians-y.
Yeah,
I'm gonna love this.
I did not know it was going to be that good, though, man. I was really impressed with how funny it was and just naturally felt right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even that it's 80s. It's more like it. I mean, there's a bit of like the 80s pop neon in there, but it's more Jack Kirby 70s,
Oh, yeah.
just
I
like
loved it.
Doctor Strange was.
I just freaking loved it, man. I had never. I mean, had a blast with Doctor Strange at the theater. I had a total freaking. This was a joyride from beginning to end.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could. You're not going to get me to come in here and say, "Oh, this film stunk and it did this." No, they did everything that I wanted to see in this film. We've been pretty heavy on Thor. Should we get into this next film? You took a deep breath for this next film.
I'm scared.
Yeah, for a film that I really enjoyed. Okay,
I really like. We're switching gears to
Justice League.
Justice League. It was not bad.
It really wasn't.
It was not great, but it did the things that have been missing from these films that needed to be in these films.
Could you tell the difference between what was a Josh Whedon shot and what wasn't? I felt like I could. I could tell,
Anytime,
this feels like a Josh Whedon shot.
Anytime, the thing that really annoyed me about the movie was the Flash. Because
really?
He was just, every time he opened his fucking mouth, I just wanted to punch him. He was just annoying. And it would, I know that all of the cracks that he made in the film, that's all Joss Whedon. And I like Joss Whedon's humor. It's just like, fucking tone it down just a little bit. It doesn't have to be fucking Zack Snyder like shitting his blue crap all over the fucking DC universe. Just tone it down just a little bit.
I feel that's unfair.
He was fucking annoying.
Here's why I say that's unfair. We just talked about how we enjoyed the humor in Thor. And then we finally get, and we always have said this, every fucking episode of the show, we always say, this shit is so serious and so dry.
In Thor, the humor is spread out to many different characters. It is not the same person cracking and making the same shit joke over and over again. No. Every time something semi-serious happened, there was Flash with a quip.
Hey, man, look, I'm going to tell you where I think it works. The one where he fell on Wonder Woman's breast, and then he realized what he did, and he hopped up, and he was, like, so hella embarrassed. Love that scene.
I know.
That scene.
It worked. Like, at the beginning of the film, it's okay. And it just, like, it gets grating over time, over the course of the film. And by the end, I'm just like, the only joke that worked at the end of the film that involved the Flash was fucking Superman carrying that goddamn building. Which is the best thing that Superman has done since the beginning of the DC
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That was a pretty good one. And I love the one with Aquaman. Where Aquaman sat on the lasso of truth.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. See, this is what I'm saying. This film to me was like, this is a DC film I wanted. I'm not really critical of that. I wanted the Flash to be a smartass. Because if you watch all the Justice League cartoons, the Flash was a grating, kind of annoying, always joking character in every freaking episode. I think they gave me a DC animated film. They gave me the animated series with live action characters.
Yeah.
They nailed that Flash from that show.
That's what I've been saying is like this whole movie, the reason why it works is because it's a DC animated film that's just been turned into a big budget live action film.
Which is what we wanted for
Which is
the
what
whole
they
time.
should have been doing this whole fucking time. And I really hope that the next time they bring in Martian Manhunter and they bring in
a Green Lantern,
if they don't bring in Jon Stewart, I'm gonna fucking murder somebody. Well,
I think that we're getting a Jon Stewart when we get the next Green Lantern Corps film, because we're going to get the Green Lantern Corps, where we're actually going to see the team of Green Lanterns.
But I don't know if that's going to be connected to the main DC extent. This is the other thing that they're doing that's fucking annoying. They really just need to fucking reach down to their television division and bring up the man in charge and have him fucking just curate it all. They need a Kevin Feige. If they don't have one, it's going to suck.
Jeff Johns is in that seat now.
But no, I don't want Jeff Johns in that seat.
Jeff Johns,
they've got a guy who's been doing it right for the last 5 fucking years on television.
Well, no, why not bring the guy from the comic book and let him do it? Because he came on with Wonder Woman, and that film was fucking amazing.
The only reason why that film was amazing, though, is because Zack Snyder was far fucking away from it.
This is another thing. Joe Nathan almost made me terminate our friendship. This fucker had the nerve to tell me he likes Zack Snyder as a director.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Bro,
Seriously.
There's no fucking way. I said, bro, Zack Snyder is not a great director. And he was like, no, what about 300? I went, oh, you mean Brofest with Romans?
So he was great fucking 10 years ago. That doesn't mean he's good now. George Lucas was amazing in the 70s, but the only thing that actually saved his movie was his wife's editing.
Yeah, true. I mean, let's be honest. I'm just not sitting here about to say Zack Snyder makes great films. I can name Sucker Punch. And his Watchmen, I like the Watchmen, but the problem was it was a weird editing job on it, and I can see his fingers all over it.
If you watch the 4.5-hour Watchmen cut that includes the
Everybody
the
says that.
Freighter,
Put the Black Freighter in, and it's a great movie.
you put the Black Freighter in, you extend all of the rest of the scenes. The only other change that you could make that would actually make that movie perfect is if they didn't make Dr. Manhattan the bad guy. Because in the comics, Ozymandias makes a bunch of mutant monsters by like cobbling together a bunch of genetic horrors in a lab in the middle of the fucking on an island in the middle of the Pacific. And the reason why fucking comedian goes crazy is because he gets dropped onto that island to try to figure out by the US government what Ozymandias is up to, sees the horrors, talks to Ozymandias tells him what the fuck's going to happen, and he just loses it. That's the reason why he says in the film, it's all just a fucking joke, because essentially you're going to drop these genetic horrors into all of these places and have them kill millions of people to convince everybody on the planet that there's an existential threat from space that is trying to kill humanity. And then once everybody is convinced of that, they will start banding together to fight the other from another planet. And in the movie, they removed all the monsters, and they made the bad guy
the greatest human character that was basically not human.
Yeah. They made the bad guy Dr. Manhattan. And you don't need to make the bad guy Dr. Manhattan. Apparently that if we actually told the real story from the comics, it would be too cerebral for everybody.
Yeah, no, it was. And that was the beauty of the comic book, was that it was so ahead of its time. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. This is when I think people realized that comic books could be art, because that story, you couldn't be an idiot and pick up a comic book, read that story, and follow it. You had to have a moderate sense of intelligence to understand the story. I'm not trying to knock anybody that didn't get the story. Hey, look, some people like hee-haw and some people like the opera. Doesn't make you a bad person, just means you like what you like. But you had to have a nice size amount of brain to be able to understand that film.
But yeah, that film actually is almost perfect. Like, it's 90% the comics. And if you watch the extended cut of it, it's really good.
I still, even watching the crap cut, I still came out of it and said, I'm not hating this.
Yeah.
It was still better than what I thought I was going to get. And it proves
that there is some directorial achievement that he's able to do. I just think that he's just a bad fit. Like, he's a good fit for that universe because he does like to direct dark things, and Watchmen is fucking dark. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the DC universe is not dark. It's not. It's a nice place. Like,
this is the thing that gets me when DC fanboys are trying to convince me Superman's an edgy character. No, he's not.
No,
he's never been.
He's a fucking Boy Scout. That's what he's supposed to be.
That's why we always called him the Big Blue Boy Scout.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then here's the other thing. When DC fans got mad about Batman jokes too much. What? Yeah, he joked too much in this film. I said, oh, I'm sorry. Did you not watch Batman the Animated Series? Batman was kind of a smartass.
Yeah.
He had some smart-ass, funny-ass lines on that show. So I was just like, who the fuck are you people that you can never be pleased with any film? Like, I get it when you know, I'm just an asshole and all I like are Marvel films and Marvel heroes and I'll never like DC films. Great. You're a piece of shit and you should go kill yourself. And that's okay. But
if you're going to go see this film, just do not focus your attention on the upper lip of Superman. Just don't do it.
Can we just go ahead and that's the elephant in the room. Here's the thing. I was so in love with the film, I didn't even notice that.
Really?
Yeah.
I honestly didn't notice
I knew there was something weird when I was watching it.
Exactly. I could not figure out what it was. It was just like when he was on the screen.
Looking for it.
So here's the thing. You're just looking at his face the whole time when they go up close on him, and he would be talking. And I was like, that's something is off, but I can't figure out what it is. So I just could not figure out what it is. And I didn't know if they were trying to make it like, hey, he came out of the grave. Maybe it was makeup.
I wonder if they made him wear like a little like green colored like mustache.
They probably just like colored his mustache green, and then
there's actually stories where they were having to talk about how they had to digitize it out.
I don't get what. Okay, is there a story why he's not shaving?
Yeah, we're going to tell you the story.
Here's the way that they should have done it. everybody, when they die, they continue to grow. You grow hair, you grow fingernails. It's the reason why the myth of vampires exists, because they would dig people up and they'd have long fingernails and their hair would be longer. So if Superman actually did die, and he wasn't just in his restorative coma, which is the way that they do it in the comics, his hair and his fingernails would have continued to grow. And when he woke up, when they, shocked him back to life in the film, him having a mustache and a beard, like they could have just put a beard on him and kept the mustache and it would have been fine. But they decided in their infinite wisdom, because the Paramount, he's working on a movie for Paramount at the time that they do the reshoots. Mm-hmm. And in that role, he has to have a mustache. And Paramount just tells fucking Warner Brothers, no, you can't cut his fucking mustache. Go fuck yourself.
And they offered them money. They were willing to pay for any reshoots or anything. Like Warner Brothers came out of the pocket and said, we will pay you, but we want to shave this mustache. And Paramount were total shitheads and said, no. So you cannot cut it.
Instead of doing the cheap, logical thing of just doing the small amount of reshoots that you need to do and having him have a beard the whole time, they chose to digitally edit out his fucking upper lip and replace it. So he has this big, like, silly putty plastic fucking upper lip, and like the cleft at the top of his lip is like fucking 5 feet wide on the screen.
That's amazing.
Because they keep doing these fucking shitty close-ups of his face for no reason.
They have to be doing those on purpose. They're like, guys, look at our CGI, guys.
Yeah, well, one of the guys that was the CGI guy told the story online, like why it was a nightmare for them, because
we've never done an upper lip before.
Yeah, Paramount, and it's weird because like at times you'll be watching the film, and if you didn't know to look for this, you wouldn't have noticed it. You'd have just got to a part and just been like, why is it when he's on screen shit is just weird? What are they doing to him that's throwing me off? I never caught it, and then all of a sudden I leave, and all of a sudden, like 3 days later, I was talking to somebody about his film was weird. I said there were just parts where Superman was on screen that was weird, and they sent me the story, and I was like, oh, that was what it was. So my brain was picking up on something's fucked up.
The
on
uncanny valley. That's the issue. Like your brain. There's a concept called the uncanny valley, where it's like as computer generation of faces and things gets more realistic, there is a point where your brain is not convinced because it almost looks real enough to be real. And so your brain just goes, that ain't real.
And my brain was picking up on it, but I could not figure out what I was it was like I was irritated, but I couldn't figure out why I was irritated. So I'm just being crazy. This is a good film. But when he was on screen, knowing it now, if you go watch it, you're going to be like, oh, you can totally see this. You can totally see this.
I'll probably try to knock it out this week in between Monster Hunter battles.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling you, it's crazy.
That I didn't like was how fucking OP Superman is in comparison to everybody else. I mean, I know in the comics that Superman is the most powerful being on the planet, but like the bad guy just smacking people like they're nothing, like fucking hitting Aquaman and like Aquaman ain't shit, hitting Wonder Woman like she's not a fucking god.
A god killer.
Yeah.
She's a god killer. Let's get the name right. Put some respect on her name. Okay.
Put some respect on it.
All of that. Like it felt like they were trying to...
They really tried to make it look like we needed Superman for this.
Yeah, we had to have Superman for this. There was no way we were going to do it without him. When realistically, like, they could have... I mean, it's just fucking Steppenwolf, for fuck's sake. It's not like he's Thanos.
You're not fighting Darkseid. You're not
fighting Darkseid. You're not fighting, a Celestial or a fucking...
Nope.
Or any other kind of god, quote unquote. It's just some fucking asshole in a hat.
Well, let me talk about the things they did do right. First of all, Aquaman, thank you.
He's still fucking useless.
Yeah, first of all, they took it back to the original. I've never seen a character like, when you read the comic books, Aquaman was pretty much a beast, okay? Then it came along this show in the 70s called The Super Friends, and it made him a super puss. And it ruined this character to the point that generations of characters...
He's useless, man.
That was all they thought. He ruined it. New 52 comic book comes along. they kind of go, hey, this guy's always been a badass. And at one point, he actually looked like that character portrayal that was on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looked like
when
that.
He had a water hook for a hand. There was some cool stuff that happened. They kind of brought back that guy in the new 52 Aquaman and made us that character we got.
The other thing that I think they should have done, which didn't make any sense to me, is like they staged the final fight in the middle of landlocked fucking Russia, where Useless Man is going to be useless. Why not? I mean, a lot of nuclear reactors, like the one that's in like
Fukushima and all of that, yeah.
They're like off the coast using sea water to cool the reactors. So if we're talking about a Russian reactor, Russia has parts of it that touch water.
The Baltic Sea.
Yeah. So why not have all of that just be right next to water so that Aquaman can do his thing?
Now Aquaman, as far as being strength-wise, he was pretty badass. I like this portrayal of him. Now, here's my thing. It has me actually excited to see the Aquaman film, because if I don't get Black Manta in that film, they can fuck themselves in that whole franchise. And I mean that. It better be Black Manta. You can't bring me an Aquaman film and not give me Black Manta. That's just no way.
Did you notice that they were upgrading Cyborg at the end? Mm-hmm. Like Cyborg was changing.
He turned into the Cyborg from the comic books.
Yeah. He always looked, whenever they had him on screen and he wasn't just wearing clothes over the top of his cyborg body, he always looked a little herky-jerky. Like he wasn't quite connected to the ground. Like the animation for him was a little off.
I think that was kind of the thing about, like, he was a stranger in his own body. He hadn't quite accepted the mother box technology yet.
Yeah.
So I kind of accepted that as what that was supposed to be. But at the same time, you're right. It looked kind of jagged and jank at some points. And then other parts, I was like, okay.
I also don't like how literally the only part of him that's human still is just his brain and like part of the top of his head and his face. Like he doesn't have the human arm, like
which he should have.
Like it's almost like they did to him what they did to fucking RoboCop in that shitty reboot, where he has a hand and a face, and that's it. Those are the only parts of his humanity that are left.
Yeah.
As if having Cyborg should be body horror. Like they should do a Cyborg film that shows you at the very beginning his creation, other than just that stupid little clip that they put in Batman versus Superman, where he's going through the body horror experience of having his body replaced.
Here was the cool thing about that, though. Back in the 80s, when the new Teen Titans comic book was doing really well, and Cyborg, Starfire, the team that you guys are familiar with these days through the cartoon series. In the 80s, when Marv Wolfman and George Perez were on that title, that origin story that they told of Cyborg was what we got on screen. So the whole thing about his dad being at Star Labs and he's trying this untested technology, and there was a wreck and his mother died and he didn't want to lose his son. So he basically turned him into a fucking cyborg and ruined his football career. He had a promising career, was about to go to college. They stuck to that story. There's also a love story that was into that, and he was in love with a woman and she kind of gave up on him because he was no longer a man, but also, great. I know we'll probably get that in the Cyborg film, but I like that they really kept his origin story intact.
I don't know why she left him. Like, could you imagine the configurations?
Yeah, this dude is a freaking walking sex toy. He could actually make something warm up and vibrate. Now take that, ladies. Okay?
Just think about that.
No, I don't want to think about that.
I know. You're the one who's been thinking about it.
Yeah, I just threw it in there. I don't want to go into depth about it because that's my fanfic we're getting into.
We're going to start doing some doujinshi with fucking Cyborg.
You already know I'm working on it, bro.
Otaku Lounge presents A Night with Cyborg.
Hey, then check this out. There were a couple of Easter eggs in this film that I did like. One of them, the very first fight where Batman's fighting that little parademon thing. Mm-hmm. That was
by the way, what the fuck?
Do you know where that building was? Before you try to get off the subject, that was the Janus Corporation.
That was Janus? Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. Black Mask, Roman Sionis. We just established that Black Mask company Janus Corporation exist in this cinematic universe, I got a little happy with that. I was like, is that who we're going to see in the Batman? Are you going to give me Black Man?
No, supposedly it's supposed to be Slade. And they brought in Slade Wilson at the end, and they also brought...
no, the greatest freaking after scene ever. I love that whole thing. You're telling me I'm going to get a Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
To me, that was cool.
That whole scene at the beginning didn't make any sense. Batman specifically goes after a guy and catches him after he commits a crime so that he can make him so afraid that the parademon shows up so he can chase the parademon and just let the bad guy go.
Yeah, he did let the bad guy
Just
go.
lets the bad guy go. Just, bye. I'm going to go do my thing now. And that was the other thing
I just
that
totally
was really
realized that he dropped the ball. Like, I'm going to make this fool who just committed this robbery so scared, use him as bait to catch the parademon. And then once the parademon commits suicide, you're sitting here talking to the robber. You don't even drop him off at the police station. You just kind of, I'm going to just talk to you about what we just saw.
Why the fuck would that guy follow Batman? The guy who just about dropped him off a fucking building and almost killed him.
Oh, yeah, he's buddy-buddy with him at the end of that scene.
What the fuck is going on?
I just totally caught that, bro. I did not think about that when we were in the scene, but...
And this is the same Batman who in Batman vs. Superman is literally running people over with his fucking car.
Shot fools.
And catching them,
fools.
Branding them, sending them to prison so that they can die in prison when other prison inmates kill them. Is just letting the bad guy go now. He's turned over a new bat, apparently.
Oh, you know what else was cool in this one? Barry, I know he hated the Flash, but there's one part where they asked Barry what languages he spoke, and he said Gorilla Sign Language.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, all right, baby, we're going to get some Gorilla Grodd in his... Because here's the thing. This film is setting up all the solo films for every one of these characters.
It's starting to sound like it.
It was because they're all coming in now. They've already said there's going to be, and I'm going to come back to Flash, but they've already said the new Flash film is going to be called Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Which could set the universe right.
The thing that I was getting at earlier that we kind of got off topic when we were talking about Thor is like, they have nobody who's architecting all of this, who's putting it all together. They're just asking people to do scripts and then taking those scripts and cutting out the best parts of them and then putting them together and just Hollywooding the fuck out of it.
That was how they did it before Jeff Johns got there. I'm sorry, I'm not going to agree with that.
So because they don't have an architect, or because the architect is coming in after half the building is fucking built, we don't have the... we're going to have a bunch of films that are not a part of this continuity. They've said specifically now that they don't care about continuity with these films and that they are just going to make whatever they want to make. So the next Batman film that was going to star Ben Affleck is now going to star somebody else, and it's going to be a telling of Batman's origin, and it's going to be in a different universe. And then they are also going to make 2 different Joker films with 2 different other Jokers other than Jared Leto, one of which might be directed by Scorsese and starring fucking Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh my goodness.
This is retarded.
I'm not saying it makes sense. But then again, the only thing I hold hope to is that you get a Flashpoint film and you fix this shit. Fix your shit before it gets out of control. Because to me, when you brought Jeff Johns in and Jeff Johns kind of became the voice of fucking reason, your films got better. And they keep getting better. Each film is better than the last film.
You know, that's what's going to piss me off, though, is like they're going to use Flashpoint to retcon all of this to try to fix their continuity. And in doing so, they're basically just going to... Well, I guess it wouldn't really invalidate Wonder Woman because everything up to the point of Flashpoint, which is going to be like in the, I guess, 90s, because he's that fucking young. Everything before that's going to be the same. So Wonder Woman's going to be the same. Her origin's not going to change. But everything else, Batman versus Superman's going to be gone. Suicide Squad's going to be gone. Man of Steel is going to be gone, which frankly, I don't care. But if we're going to use Flashpoint to do this, then that means that they're going to have to set Aquaman after Flashpoint. And so that means the Flash movie is going to have to come out first. But the Flash movies lost 3 fucking directors, and the Aquaman movies lost 2 directors, and it's finally starting to produce production stills from the actual movie, which means that that movie's already written and starting to be in the can before Flashpoint even comes out.
That was how it was supposed to go. It's supposed to go Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash. So I was like the whole time thinking,
but why would you want to write, direct, and film an Aquaman movie and put it out before you do Flashpoint and then just retcon the whole fucking thing? Why not wait on Aquaman? Or at least have Jeff Johns rewrite it so that it fits in, so that it's a part of the new Flashpoint that's going to come out after Flashpoint comes out, or the new changes, and then release Flashpoint, then release Aquaman, then go and do Cyborg and all the other fucking films that you're going to do. That way, all of the films going forward from Flashpoint are all a part of this cinematic universe that's been fixed by Jeff Johns.
No, they're going to fucking make these movies just like they did the comic books. So it was like, hey, here's our convoluted fucking backstory because we've done Darkest Hour, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
What you're basically telling me is Jeff Johns is going to be this great architect for the whole fucking DC cinematic universe, but it doesn't matter because they're going to do it the way that they want to do it anyway.
They're going to do what they did in the fucking comic book. Shut the fuck up and listen.
So it doesn't matter.
They're going to build it, and then they're going to Flashpoint it, and then we're going to get a new 52. It's the fucking comic book. It's no fucking different. Like, I see that.
I know.
Stevie Wonder sees that.
But I realize what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is...
You don't like it.
Don't do that.
That's what they're going to do.
Don't do that.
They're going to.
Bring out Flashpoint. Have Flashpoint change everything. Once Flashpoint has changed everything, then release Aquaman, then release Wonder Woman 2, then release fucking Cyborg, then release another Superman movie, another Batman movie, and have it all be a part of the same continuity that's been retconned by Flashpoint.
When are we going to even get another fucking Justice League? Because I looked at their list for how they're doing movies, and there's no new Justice League in that group. Everybody else is getting a new film, and then they keep announcing more shitfest films in there. Like that whole thing with we're making the Batman.
Yeah,
Batman. Why are we doing the Batman without the Ben Affleck?
The Batman is going to be Batman either year 1 or year 0, and it's going to star a completely different Batman, and it's going to be set in like the fucking 90s or 80s.
I fucking think that's shit, and I'm not even lying. I think that's a shit idea.
Well, I mean, we're getting rid of Affleck anyway because he doesn't want to be a part of this shit anymore. So, again, if you do Flashpoint,
you could fix everything.
If you do Flashpoint first, before you do all of the other horse shit, if you do it first, then you get the ability to fix all of this shit. You can change to a different Joker. You can change to a different fucking Batman. You can keep the same Harley Quinn because everybody likes her, and you can recast some of the other characters if you want to. Like, you could keep Deadshot as Will Smith if you wanted to.
Yeah, but I'd like to see.
You can go through and you can pick out. You can do what they do in the fucking comics when they do this. You can pick out the things that work, get rid of everything that doesn't, and just fucking rebuild the whole thing from the beginning.
I think they're going to try to. It's a money grab at the same time that he's having to deal with Warner Brothers bullshit. I think what they're going to do is they're going to put all this shit out. And some of it's going to stick, and some of it's going to work, and some of it's going to be part of the universe. And then when Flashpoint comes through, and they realize, okay, we shouldn't have fucking done that. Flashpoint's going to be the point where they fix it, and then they're going to try to get on board and go, okay, moving forward, this is the new DC cinematic universe, and we're finally giving you the comic book stories you've all fucking deserve.
Yeah, but why would you want to spend fucking $3 or $4 billion on a bunch of films that you're going to retcon anyway? It doesn't even make a business sense.
But that's Warner Brothers. Name some shit they've done that's made sense in building this universe.
Name some shit Warner Brothers has done that made shit in any interactive or digital media, because their fucking games are pissing me off too. Like,
everybody loves
the Mordor series, and they almost fucked it with War.
Well, they did fuck it with War,
but that took.
If you want to talk about Warner Brothers not doing shit that doesn't make sense, like, just their entire fucking lineup of all these films doesn't make sense, obviously.
No, this whole thing's a fuck fest. But then again, when you brought Jeff Johns in, the only hope that I held was, thank God I'm getting the fucking editor from DC Comics to come over here and be the anchor for this and to fucking start making some of this shit make sense. And thank God you're going to give me a Flashpoint film, which, let's face it, I don't know if anybody read that comic book. I don't know how the hell they're doing this in one film, because that is going to, I mean, unless they follow the Flashpoint cartoon.
If they just take the Flashpoint cartoon script and fucking put it on the screen, it
Live
will be
action,
successful.
that shit, I would love it.
It will be successful. Like, you don't have to explain anything. It just, everything's just
It explains
fucking,
itself.
Yeah, I mean, but everything is just fucking weird. You don't have to go into the backstory of Bruce Wayne died and Martha went crazy.
If you remember in the cartoon, we get the explanation. What, like Flash goes, "You're not the Bruce from my world," and then he tells you a quick explanation of that night when Bruce dies, and you go, "Oh shit, this world's all fucked up." Then you realize that Aquaman cheated on Mira with Wonder Woman, and Mira got mad and went to go try to check Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman cut the hoe's head off.
And now there's a war between the fucking...
Now, here's Aquaman that cheated on his wife with the Amazonian queen, and now there's a war. So the Atlanteans and the Amazons are going to fight. That is a great film. Everything was jacked up in that universe. We had a Superman that never got to land with Ma and Pa Kent.
Yeah, he got picked up by the government and kept in a facility with a red sun light on him his entire life, so he was never able to develop his powers. He looks like a fucking Holocaust victim.
He does.
And when he finally gets the fuck out, because Flash realizes that he needs to free Superman in order to be able to fix all this shit, Flash goes in and gets him out, and once he gets out, he like takes the fuck off, and he's just gone. And then for some reason he comes back. Like he should not have come back with the way that humanity treated him, but he still came back and saved the day.
Yeah, and it's so good. It is so... If you get a chance to watch the Flashpoint cartoon, you will not regret it. In fact, I tell people this all the time. For $11.99, you can go to Barnes & Noble right now and buy the collected fucking graphic novel, and it is worth your $12. It is worth the $12. It is one of the best reads. It is one of the most fun times I've had with a DC comic book in a long time. And I was a fan of the New 52. New 52 had a lot of great comics in there, but the Flashpoint series is a must fucking read.
One of the reasons why I was so fucking excited for them to do Flashpoint on the Flash show, and then they just pussied out and made like tiny little changes.
Yeah, they didn't. They could have did that.
They could have done so much so well. Like, they could have retconned all of season 4 of Arrow and just got rid of their entire rid of that
magic storyline.
It's not even just the magic storyline. It's just all the shit between Oliver and Felicity. They just gotten rid of it. Don't even get me started on the fact that they're fucking married now. Oh God. But yeah, I mean, Flashpoint.
This is when I love you the most.
The smart part of all of this would be do Flashpoint first, retcon it, then shoot all of your other movies based on the new continuity that Jeff Johns creates out of Flashpoint. And then just don't screw up Flashpoint, and Flashpoint will be your way to fix all of the other things. You can recast everybody if you want to. Mm-hmm. You can keep the things that work and throw away the rest.
I'm going to cry if we ever lose Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And if Patty Jenkins leads this series...
She's confirmed for...
She's doing part 2.
Yeah.
I know that. Gal Gadot, though, said that she, because some dirtbag that was involved in it was also accused of some of the sexual harassment stuff going on in Hollywood. She said, I will not be in this film if his production company's attached to it. And I'm sorry. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Okay? Because you don't need him. He ain't the star. You get rid of him. And I mean, look, I'm glad she spoke out on it. I'm glad she took a stand on it. But I don't want this series ruined. I love Wonder Woman.
So to get back to the actual movie, because we had
ADD so bad right there.
40 minutes. To get back to the movie, like the best part of the film, it should have been the focal point of the film is that them fucking trying to subdue Superman after he wakes up. Which I don't know if I can't tell if they're saying, oh, he died, or oh, he was in the coma and the mother box woke him up when they electrocuted him. but they're going with the Superman was dead and they had to resurrect him. Also, what's with the weird ass fucking scene in the graveyard between Flash and Cyborg? Two guys who literally could have dug Superman up in like a half a second, manually digging him up with fucking shovels.
That was a weird scene.
It was so fucking weird. That's a Whedon scene.
I thought that was weird. Like,
that's a Whedon scene right there.
Yeah, I was like, Flash could dig that hole up by itself and just go eat 17 large pizzas and we'd be done.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a weird scene. I really thought that was weird. I didn't like...
And like Cyborg literally could have just turned his hand into a fucking like...
dump truck.
Just scoop, like a giant scoop, and just scoop the whole fucking casket up in with one hand.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a weird...
Okay, let's talk about a couple things they did. I think this film, as far as fanboys go, comic fans, there were some things that you liked. One of the things I noticed they did, it was subtle. There were subtle things, like with Cyborg. At the end of the film, he goes, "Booyah!" Which, if you watch the original cartoon series and then the comic book, that was his catchphrase. And I thought we waited the whole film to get a booyah, just kind of threw that, like, here's a little something to you Teen Titans fans.
Yeah. They did a lot of attempting to, like,
Connect
they tried to
the
do
universe.
a lot of callbacks.
Oh, like the exploding penguins? Remember when the only thing we had to worry about was exploding penguins?
Yeah.
I love that line when he was talking to him about that, because you're calling back to, oh, yeah, the penguin days.
Also, this is the fuckery that they did. The music. Do you remember when the original Tim Burton Batman theme swelled up at the end, and the original Superman score from the 70s Superman film? Yeah, when those notes started swelling in, I was like, these motherfuckers, I know what they're doing. Like, they're attempting to, one, do, callbacks and like, oh, fanboys are going to go crazy, but they're also attempting to conflate these versions of these characters with the versions of them that people already liked.
Oh, yeah, because that music, man, look, I don't care how you feel about Superman, but when you're dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 you
That
get a
shit
little
makes
hyped.
you fucking tear up. That's what that does.
Yeah, you get a little hyped when that music comes on. And then when I kind of heard the music start up, I was like, nice placement. Nice placement, well played. Still, you're right. Don't play on my heartstrings or my nostalgia.
They're fucking with my emotions.
Yeah, there were some cool things they did. I liked the film overall. So let's do this. Last thing I'm gonna say, the Hall of Justice reference at the end.
In Wayne Manor. Why the fuck are they going to make Wayne Manor into the fucking Hall of
Yeah, I
Justice?
was kind of weird about that. Like, no, give me a real Hall of Justice. Because she said with room to grow. They
did the Hall of Justice better on the fucking television shows than they did in that movie.
They did the Hall of Justice better on Robot Chicken better than they did in that movie.
But literally, they found the building that the Hall of Justice is based on, and they actually filmed the real building in the show on the not this season's like crossover, but last season's crossover. At the end of the episode, you see an exterior shot of the Hall of Justice. It's not made up like the Hall of Justice, but it's that building. It looks exactly like it. It even has the fucking, the water fountain out front of it and everything.
Bro, look, I'm just saying they played on my heartstrings a little bit with that. There were some low key callbacks that I noticed they used.
That whole fucking sequence at the beginning with Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, when she breaks in to stop those guys.
Yeah.
Man,
So good.
oh, I know.
So good. I could watch like 2 hours of that. I don't even care.
Bro, the next Wonder Woman film could be her just beating the shit out of guys, and I'd be like, I'm paying money to see this.
Yep.
Yeah, her and Patty Jenkins know how to make a damn good film, but this one here, I really liked everything we got out of that opening sequence. There's one weird thing. I had to go find this online, and I didn't pay attention to it, but red skies. You know how the sky got red at the end when it got all post-apocalyptic?
Yeah.
Listen to this crap. One of the more subtle comic nods in the movie was hidden in its color palette. During the final fight and at several points during the flashbacks, the world is seen with a bright orange-red sky. Far from being an ominous aesthetic choice, the concept of the red sky has some pretty loaded history in the DCU. It began with the continuity continuity altering Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I was talking to you guys about back in the 80s, where the multiverse was collapsed into a single system in order to reconcile all the disparate and contradictory threads and timelines of DC's Golden and Silver Age comics. As the worlds collide into one another, the skies turn bright red. Since then, the phenomena has become a sort of shorthand for any event in the DCU that's happening on a cataclysmic scales. Books that deal with them are even sometimes called Red Skies crossover, Darkest Night, Crisis on Infinite Earths, all the big ones.
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint. All the big ones had red skies. I have every single one of these comic books. I totally never freaking paid attention to this crap until they said this. I saw it online. I went back and started opening up books and was like, well, bitch. I did not pay attention to it. I didn't know. Red skies. So here's how we're going to break it down. I came up with a new rating system. And I've been telling you guys my new rating system. You guys have been privy to it. Listeners haven't. My new rating system isn't so much like we're going to give it a grade. We can either go with A, B, or we can give it a score on a scale of 1 to 100. But my score that really impressed me is the new score I'm going to be using when I review movies. And the score system is, was it worth $15? All right. Because let's face it, ticket prices are soaring. So 12 to $15 is not uncommon if you go watch a 7 o'clock film. You know, if you're not watching a matinee, you could mess around and pay 12 to $15, depending on where you go, whether it's a movie house, an eatery, or Alamo Draft House or a Cinemark. Okay. So in this one, I'm going to kind of look at this and let's break it down like that. All right. Now, Zane, I know you're not going to vote.
Not on
Justice
League.
I know you're not going to vote on Justice League because, like you say, you didn't watch it. So we're going to break this down. I'll start with Brandon on Thor. We're going to ask you, would it be worth $15?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be worth it at twice the price.
Justice League, was it worth 15?
If you really like DC animated movies, yes. If you don't like any of the DC animated movies, or you just don't like, DC films in general, no.
Okay.
It's not worth it.
Zane, Thor, worth $15?
Bro, yeah. I second the opinion that it's worth twice that, if not many multiples of that. Because I literally got out of the theater and almost wanted to go see if I could get a ticket for the next showing.
They go right back, yeah.
I had an early evening show, and then they still had a late night.
My brother is thinking about going back for a second time for Thor. I'm thinking about going back for a second of both films. I think I want to see Thor in Justice League again.
I just want to go see Thor again just for the fucking scene where they're in the elevator. Because that's like, that scene sums up their relationship so well. And you can see it in Loki's face that that's the turning point where he knows that something has to change, that he's become too predictable, and that that's the moment where he begins his redemption arc. And I have a feeling he's going to be the other person who dies.
I wouldn't be shocked. I do think we're going to see. We're going to say that for another show because we got some things we're going to deal with in 2018. I'm going to go ahead and give my final rating. I'm actually going to say on Thor, I agree with you guys. Definitely worth $15. I got everything I wanted in a superhero film and more. I'm going to go out on the limb on this one. Justice League not only is worth $15 the first time to see it, because I do think you need to see it on a big screen, but the second showing, catch a matinee. Try to get in for $7. Catch it at $1 movie for $5. It's worth seeing on the big screen, though.
But
even if you're not a fan of DC films, I felt like this one was good enough to make you want to see it on a big screen.
But is it worth smelling the puke inside of $1 movie?
I don't know which dollar movies you're going to, bro.
Man, every time I go to $1 movie theater, it's always the worst experience I've ever had.
Yeah, you're having some terrible experiences.
Every time.
Yeah.
I think it's because I grew up in San Antonio.
Then that could be it. Because I go to
they're just bad.
I'm giving Cinemark all kind of credit, but they have a theater out there in Round Rock.
I've been to that one.
The Cinemark 8, and I really like that theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw what the hell is that movie? The Guardians, I think. That winter movie.
I've seen a couple of movies.
I saw that.
They turned when they moved the Draft House out to Lakeline.
Oh yeah, the Draft House that was that shopping center's
It's now $1 movie.
Yeah, and it's I can't remember. It's the Plaza 7 or something like that. It's a really nice theater.
Yeah.
And it's cheap. That's where I go to. Yeah, don't go. If it smells like puke, turn around. You're in a crack house.
Every time.
Around.
And you know what? That holds true whenever I go to a regular, like a non-draft house theater, it always just feels like it's fucking dirty every time.
Hey, you're having some horrible experiences.
I don't know. They're just.
I
think I have like PTSD from going to movie theaters when I was a kid.
You really do, because I went to see. Well, we're just going to do it. If you're in the Austin area, Pflugerville, Cinemark 20, that's out there.
Yeah, the XD.
That's where I watched. What was that last film Tarantino did? The Hateful Eight. I saw the 70 millimeter version there at that
So
theater.
that's where we went to go see fucking Murder on the Orient.
Yeah, sure did. Murder on the Orient Express. We watched it there.
I love movies there. That's why I went to go see what's it called?
And now that they've redone their
didn't go
theater and they got all like draft house seating and alcohol now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's Cinemark stepping their game up. I love that one. I need to hit them all up too. So we're gonna get out of here. I think we kind of covered a lot of stuff in this show.
Maybe too
We're
much.
gonna be we got pretty deep. It got the comic book nerd knowledge dropped on this one, and the spoiler alert. There was no spoiler alert before we got into this one. If you hadn't seen the films, we fucked you. We're so sorry. But you should be used to listening to this show for a while. That
I'll
we're
put
going
the
to go
spoiler tag on
heavy.
it. It's fine.
Yeah, we're pretty spoiler heavy. But yeah, both films, excellent films. This holiday season, I recommend you getting in there. Our next big one that you and I have decided we're skipping work in February.
Yeah, we need to.
We're skipping work to go watch Black Panther Day 1.
Ooh, I'm coming.
All right, so we're going to say Team Left is skipping, and we're going to leave straight from the theater, and we're going to record a show that day. We'll do two shows. Let's do one that's not spoilers, and then we'll do a second show that is heavy spoilers.
Okay.
We'll talk
The
about
show that's non-spoilers will be 10 minutes long. It'll be the
It'll
shortest
just be us
podcast.
screaming, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, that's really all it's going to be. Just screaming, "Oh my God," like Cartman for
Oh my
10
god,
minutes.
is it worth $15? All right, next.
Yeah, next. Bye. This episode's over. Go listen to the spoiler. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page at GoTeamLift, as well as our personal pages at Coach Silky and at Thighside. You can direct questions and comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.